Hello everyone, I'm very excited to share my project with you. And my project was on nutrition for preschool age children. My target populations were the parents of Centennial Hills area, parents of preschoolers in the Centennial Hills area. A bit of the background information that I used, instead of background on a facility, I decided to do some research on the nutrition problem in America. Some of the diseases caused by malnutrition or poor nutrition are obesity, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, metabolic syndrome, liver disease, high blood pressure, dental caries, and one report even says Alzheimer's is, there's some reason to believe that Alzheimer's disease is linked. There's another study that also says that cognitive ability in children is affected by their nutrition early in life. The Healthy People 2020 has an objective of nutrition and weight status, and I used that as a springboard for this project. And the key indicators of this of the nutrition and weight loss are showing that there is no progress being made between 2008 and 2012. There was actually a rise in childhood obesity between the ages of 2 and 19, and no change in the intake of vegetables, so no improvement there. Most children are not following the U.S. Department of Agriculture's guidelines of the MyPlate recommendations, and there's only about 2% of the population in America of children that are actually eating according to those guidelines. The American Heart Association recommends that women like me get 6 teaspoons maximum of added sugars per day, and men get 9 teaspoons. They don't have a recommendation for children, but the average American eats about 17 teaspoons of added sugar. Those are sugars that are added to processed foods. Those are not naturally occurring sugars in foods. So also to add to that, 17% of the children in America are considered obese, and 17,000 new cases of type 2 diabetes are reported each year, and that was a disease that was unheard of 20 years ago. In Nevada, the Nevada Institute for Children's Research and Policy reported that 30% of 4 to 5-year-olds are either overweight or obese. So that is part of the reason I wanted to do this project, focus on preschoolers' nutrition. I did a needs assessment that researched demographics, did a windshield survey, met some key informant, and also did a community survey. The demographics in Nevada, there's over 2 million residents, and 72% of Nevada residents reside in Clark County. 62% are Caucasian, 11% African American, just over 9% are Asian, under 1% you have Native Hawaiians and Pacific Islanders, and under 1% American Indians. 11.1% identify as other race, and 4.8% say they're a mix of 2 or more races. The 30%, just over 30% of the population identifies as Hispanic or Latino. The age distribution, it's 29% are ages 25 to 44, 25% are ages 45 to 64, 23.8% are children ages 0 to 18, 6.4% are my demographic that I'm interested in, and they're under 5, and the 13% are over the age of 65. The median income in Nevada is just over $52,000, and we have a unemployment rate that is 2% above the national average. Our morbidity and mortality, the highest is heart disease, followed by cancer, lower esophageal or lower respiratory disease, unintentional injuries, cerebral vascular disease, influenza, pneumonia, Alzheimer's disease, suicide, kidney disease, liver disease, and lastly, diabetes. Some of these are obviously related to nutrition and lifestyle choices. The population in Nevada, especially in Clark County, is growing in diversity, but it's also growing in poverty, especially poverty among children. So the windshield survey, let me show you the map that I used. This is the Centennial Hills area of Las Vegas, Nevada, the yellow area there. I drove around 3 different times. I did one during the weekday in kind of the morning hours and during the weekday at night. And I also went during the lunch hours of a weekend day. I drove around. I saw that there were 2 Fresh and Easy supermarkets that had closed, and those were fresh food sources that were being offered. But there was no shortage of fast food. There was, in fact, in one stretch of mile on Durango Boulevard, there was over 15 fast food choices in just, it was only about a half a mile stretch of road. So, and then when I looked in the supermarkets and saw what parents of preschoolers were buying and what was being offered at the supermarkets, I could see that the proportions of food are not in line with the recommendation of what the USDA is recommending for a healthy diet. I went out after the windshield survey and did a community survey and developed 5 questions to ask people. So the first question was, what do you feel is the biggest challenge on a day-to-day basis with your preschooler? And parents answered overwhelmingly getting the child to eat healthy foods was a major challenge. And the children spent most of their time with the mom or dad rather than a preschool setting. Preschool's not offered in Nevada. It is offered in some other states, but school is where a lot of children get the nutrition teaching, and there's mandatory regulations for them to serve healthy food in those places, but there's no regulations on parents to serve healthy foods at their home. So most of the parents did describe that their children were overall healthy, and they said some of the challenges to accessing healthcare were no insurance, no available appointments at their doctors, or their schedules just didn't match with the doctors. And they also said, one mom also said that she had a hard time finding childcare for her other children. So when asked where they bought food, they bought in various different places, a lot of them. Winco was one, Target, Costco, Walmart, Smith's grocery store, Albertsons. So they had a lot of grocery stores to choose from. And I went to several of those to see what they were buying and what they were offering. So, and then I asked everybody what they saw as their biggest problem, and they overwhelmingly said getting their children to eat a healthy diet. This American diet was the biggest problem in their children's health. So that community survey revealed a lot. Then I went and I spoke with 4 different key informants, all of them mothers of preschoolers ages 2 to 5. And most of them did not feel that their children's diets were in line with the recommendations. And they just didn't really see what they could change, or it seemed overwhelming to them to make changes. They didn't have a clear direction. So I developed a knowledge assessment tool just to see what their nutritional knowledge was and what their likeliness to change was. So the first 8 questions of the knowledge assessment asked about nutritional knowledge, and they got some of them wrong because I didn't make them easy. And then I asked them if they knew about any resources, and they maybe knew of 1 or 2. Then I asked the key informants if they were likely to make changes, and they all said maybe, probably, not likely. So then after I spoke with the key informants, I did a gap analysis to see what was being offered, and there is really no, one of the best practices is to discourage sugar sweetened beverages, because that's one of the main things that is a source of added sugar and is not nutritionally sound. So there's no warning labels, there is no education out there offered to this group of parents, and but even though those have been shown to be effective. So I decided to target the parents of preschoolers, because the first 6 years of life often are determine what a child's nutritional intake will be later on in life. So those are why I wanted to target them. And there's a disconnect. They want to feed their children healthy, they just don't know how to go about it. So some of the needs of this group is access to affordable, nutritious foods, policies that promote healthy eating, like warning labels or other public policies. They need to have an understanding of a nutritious diet, which the MyPlate does a great job of illustrating that, but it needs to be out there for everybody to see. And there's got to be some strategies for changing. Give them a little nudge in the right direction. Peer support is crucial, because this is a cultural thing, and they need to not be surrounded mainly by completely people that are eating exactly how they're eating. They need peer support to improve their diet. So the 2 nursing diagnoses I came up with. The first one was deficient community health related to non-nutritive diet of preschoolers, as evidenced by 30% of 4 to 5-year-olds in Clark County being overweight or obese. Shoppers with preschoolers at local grocery stores were not purchasing nutrient-dense food products, and a community survey showed that the majority of parents feel that getting their children to eat healthy foods is their biggest challenge. The second nursing diagnosis was knowledge deficit related to implementing a nutritious diet for preschoolers, as evidenced by parents stating, "I wish I knew how to get my child to eat better, and I know my child's diet's not good, but I don't know where to begin to change it." So my goal was to empower parents to change their children's diet by increasing their knowledge and of nutrition and the resources and tools available to them. The objectives to meet this goal are: parents will increase their nutritional knowledge by at least 10% after nutritional education is offered, and I'll measure that by using the nutritional knowledge assessment tool that I developed. Then the second objective was to parents to be able to list at least 1 or more resources after education is provided than they did before it was provided. Again, it's going to be measured by the nutritional knowledge assessment tool. And then the third objective was for parents to show empowerment by changing their likeliness as measured by that. They will show empowerment to improve their children's diet by saying, yes, I'm likely to change, and most likely. So I gathered a small group of mothers, the 4 key informants that I'd had and implemented the program. My educational strategy included audiovisual materials, printed materials as in handouts, and we had a small group with open discussion throughout the presentation. I set it up in one of the group members' homes. There was 4 participants, and they were all the key informants, and they were all mothers of preschoolers between the ages of 2 and 5. I encouraged them to bring their preschoolers with them and bring healthy snacks to share, kind of a play date type of setup. And when we all arrived, I set up a PowerPoint presentation that was provided to healthcare professionals through the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. I went through the PowerPoint presentation, and it was 50 slides, so I skipped some of the material that was meant for health professionals. And but one of the slides that was most impactful was the sugars that this graph of how sugars, when they're 2 years old and in early phases, it's low sugar, and they saw how it shot up to becoming preschoolers when they start eating the foods that their parents enjoy and not all the canned baby foods and such. So then I also gave them a printout as a visual reference of the MyPlate, so they could see what a healthy food plate looks like, and it also has some descriptions of what the different healthy portion sizes are. I gave them tips on how to get more fruits in their diet. I gave them another tip sheet on how to add more vegetables in. Simply just having them with you prepared, chopped and rinsed in a baggie, and you might have that instead of French fries if you have them with you when you're out and about. I also gave them another tip sheet on how to cut down on added sugars, and that was great. A lot of them really started looking at what their children were drinking and how much added sugars were in the chocolate milk and fruit juices that their children were drinking. To help them find resources, I made up my own sheet that has local activities and websites to find different things for their children to do. And then everybody, after the teaching and the discussions, retook the knowledge assessment tool, and everybody scored higher on their knowledge, and they were able to list more resources, and instead of being wishy-washy about whether they're going to change, they started saying what they were going to change. And yes, they're very likely to make these changes because they see how it impacts their children's health and how important it is for them. So that was exhilarating. And I think the best part of it was teaching to a group. Everybody was able to bring up their own ideas and their own problems and how they were having trouble with the implementation. And it was nice to have the children there with the healthy snacks, because the parents that were saying my kid won't try anything, their kids were trying stuff and liking it and telling them to go to the store and buy it for them. So it showed that some of them just had a mental block in it, and it was great for them to be able to experience that. And the kids were seeing other kids try stuff, and they wanted to try it too. So the kids were inspiring to the mothers that day. So I think the power slide was, it had some great information on it, but it was too long. So in the future, I would definitely shorten that to have some more precise information so as not to overwhelm them and not get off target. And then I think I just did one teaching. I think something like this that's requiring a lifestyle change is gonna take several teachings and a support group, I feel. So in the future, for this, even though all the goals were met with this program, and it went well, I think for real change to happen, there needs to be a support group set up through maybe Facebook or a social media site, meetup.com, something of that nature, so that it could be run by the people that it's serving, and they could even tell the nurse what they want to learn. So maybe a healthy families group, and it could help them with all their needs in this preschool thing. So that was my thing. Thank you very much.